All right, welcome to part 2 of the Battle of Leeuw. It's turn 9. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. Marshal Soult is pushing both bridges, and Field Marshal Gneisenau is like, I don't think so, buddy. But we'll see what happens. The first of the reserves have come on the table in the form of the cavalry reserve for the Allies. We got Austrian and Prussian dragoons. Yes, I think they're even. If you don't look too close, they actually even look like the real thing. And yeah, it's going good. Scott over at Check Your Leader TV just released his preliminary video for his battle of Mont Saint Jean, and I apologize for pronouncing it Mont Saint Jean for my entire life, so I suck. Working on it. And boom. So let's get it going. I can't remember who won initiative last turn. I think it's the French. I think the French have won like 99% of these. If I got it wrong, we'll figure it out later. But it's been a day or two since I've played the last turn. Took a little break to actually touched up my and rebased my French Old Guard Grenadiers and Chasseurs. So since they will be making an appearance in this battle, hopefully, unless something goes completely horribly wrong for Marshal Soult. And that's what I was doing. So they're finished. And boom, that's it. So let's do ADC availability. Both sides still rolling 6 ADCs. The French still have their adjutant. I don't know if they drop below 6. They keep that? I don't know. But I think it'll stay there just because it doesn't seem to make sense. If you lose a couple, you lose a brigade, your adjutant suddenly dies in his sleep or in his horse. So they'll keep that for the entire battle, and Scott will let me know, or one of you guys will let me know if I got that wrong. All right, stand by for some drum rolling. Field Marshal Gneisenau is at 3 ADCs available. Marshal Soult is at 5, plus Soult is going to use his adjutant to reroll the 1-1 he had. French will end up with 6 ADCs against the Allied 3. All right, let's play some orders, and we'll be right back. Field Marshal Gneisenau puts all of his ADCs over on 3rd Brigade's artillery over here on the west side of the battlefield, protecting the bridge coming over by Leeuw. Can try to hammer the. He's doing a number on the French. Why not? You might as well back a winning horse. And in contrast to that, Marshal Soult is going for the bridge here, as he's putting infantry assault and forwards tasking on not only Charlette's brigade, but also on Gobrecht, with the Swiss and the Bavarians. They're all going to try to go across the bridge and attack in different directions, one of which will hit Leeuw if they can make it, which could be absolutely insane. But they have no rerolls on these, on both of these brigades. They're just forwards and infantry assaults. That's it. So he's, you only get so many ADCs. So boom, he's gonna push the envelope here. Sorry, I was having a sip of ginger ale. And we'll see what happens. That could be cool as heck, or it could be a total dud. And in the meantime, if they don't make it cool as heck, they're going to get totally smoked by Austrian artillery on the hill overlooking the bridge. So that could be fun. All right, here we go. Let's roll some French brigade either hesitancy or availability. Marshal Soult lucks out. Just his Italians under Soyer are hesitant. His big attack over here on the west against Leeuw-Saint-Pierre's bridgehead is going to go off. Unless I roll like double ones on movement, then they're not going to go off too far. Okay, baby. Let's see how the Allies do. Everything for the Allies is active. Gneisenau firing on all cylinders. The one he rolled was where he had his ADC attachment, so boom, that immediately got corrected. Okay, initiative-wise, the Allies will be rolling 2d6. French rolling 3d6. It ends up being a tie, so that falls back on my memory, which is complete trash. I'll tell you what, give me a minute. It won't feel like a second to y'all, and I'm going to go back and just watch my own video real quick on see who won initiative on turn 8. Alright, quick VAR check. I forgot, on the turn 8, that's when Sult totally got hosed and had 3 hesitant brigades, so he ended up rolling like double ones and with his 5 dice he rolled. So, and then Gneisenau won with a 4. So that was a draw on that initiative. So the Prussians will retain the initiative, and that's where we're at. So I'm glad I went back and reviewed that, and boom, let's go. All right, charge phase. The Allies don't have any charges to declare, but guess what? The French have got all kinds of, well, the French, Swiss, and Bavarians have got all kinds of charges to declare. So let's do that. We'll start off with the forwards bonus for Charlotte's brigade. Roll 2d6, plus 6, plus 9 for being an attack column. This will be insane. Break out the drug screen. These guys might be on some stimulants. They get a 12. That does not cause a destiny roll. You think it would? They grow. Well, they got some Red Bull. They got wings and they fly across the bridge. Let's see where they end up, baby. So they charge across the bridge and slam into those Austrians over there. All 4 brigades, or 4 battalions. Excuse me. Now we've got a second forwards order. I got to move the General Charlotte. Sorry about that. Now we've got the Swiss and the Bavarians here going crazy too. See how far their forwards movement is. Holy cow, what a logistic nightmare. It was difficult to place everybody in here just because of how it went down and a limited space coming over a bridge. But just trying to follow the rules. You can wheel and then attack. You kind of have to go in the most direct line. So these guys, you know, I probably wanted to kind of make a turn that way and attack the Russians, but you're not allowed to do that. So they went straight ahead and slammed into these Austrian battalions. These gentlemen came across the bridge, and then they had to be turned just for logistics, but they basically just caught the corner of the Leeuw, and the Swiss are going in against, with Bavarians right behind them, and more Swiss on the bridge, going in against the Moscow Grenadiers. So, wow. Closing fire wise, there was French skirmishers leading the charge. So the Jaegers from the Austrian brigade are going to fire at them. Then they turned and basically faced against the Russians. So they're not going to shoot till then afterwards. So the Russians they'll get 2 shots at them. Basically, Austrians are going to fire a bunch of shots at them, and then the Russians will just because that's the best I can do with the rules. Closing in stuff. We're going to get closing fire from these gentlemen as the French come in. Plus, these guns would fire at the French as well as they came in. I might split the casualties between these 2 battalions, but this is going to be canister range, and they're on artillery assault, so it's going to be, and they're in attack column too. It's going to be a lot of dice. We're talking bolt action dice, and that'll be it. I can't stop staring at this nightmare. And then the combat will be at the end of the turn for the Swiss against the Moscow Grenadiers, but we'll do a charge after all this shooting by the Austrians against the Russians of Charlotte's brigade. If you thought it was bad looking at it from above, from the side, the above picture is absolutely insane. It's a bit of a headache. When people start retreating, it's going to be a nightmare. They're going to be jumping into the river and stuff, or shoving their way through the Swiss that are on the bridge. So a lot of units. Even though some of these units might be out of the first 6 inches of movement for being unformed, I think the unit on the bridge, is people come back that way. If it happens that way, they're going to get unformed too, just because the nature of guys shoving their way and trying to run for their lives. All right, Salt hopes it doesn't happen. We'll see what happens, baby. All right, let's do some shooting. First up, the Jaegers. And someone asked a question if the Jaegers are rifle armed. I need to look that up. I forgot to. If they are rifle armed, they're going to get some extra shots right now. I looked in the rules. This is part of the back of the General de Armée book. I don't see anything about the Jaegers having rifles. It does mention that some of the Allies do. And then I also looked on the order of battle for this included Austrian force for the Eckmühl, 1809. There's no mention of rifles in that either. So I'm just going to, maybe they did have them in the real world, but I just, I can't find any supporting documentation within GDA, so I'm going to go ahead and just say they don't have rifles, and if it's historically at this time they did, we'll get it fixed at some point. So 5 shots from the Jaegers at the French skirmish bases, and now over here. Alright, they inflict 1 casualty on those 3 French remaining skirmish bases. Now we're going to get this large battalion and attack column, 1st Battalion of the number 32 Regiment, firing into the French attack column coming towards them. I think which gets them 2 CDs, if I'm correct. They aren't able to inflict any casualties, but they do pick up the first fire discipline of the game, which is always a great thing. Now we'll get this artillery battery firing canister at these 2 brigades. We're going to split it evenly, the casualties. And yeah, on artillery assault and an attack column, so this should be minced. These guys have already got their number. They've done some devastating work. If these guys do win this battle, the next thing they're doing is going to these guns and just totally butchering these guys. There will be no quarter given. Could have been a lot worse, but these guns continue to hammer away on these guys. As they came charging across the bridge, doing 2 casualties to these gentlemen. They're up to 4. Doing 1 casualty to these guys. They're up to 7. And then you get bounced through, but I considered it penetration more with grape shot or canister, and they get 1 back here. So another 4 casualties on that brigade, bringing them to the way into the double digits amount of damage they've done to these gentlemen. And we have to do a discipline check on the attacking unit, which they'll need a 7+. Alright, the French passed that discipline check, and they'll go in and do the charge. Wow. Both sides will be rolling 2 dice, I believe. Yep. And then the French will have they'll have 3 supports, and the Austrians will have 1. So the Austrians must have been dumbfounded by their fire discipline. They roll a 4. The French are sitting at 7. The reserve, sorry, the not a reserve. What's the word? Support. Excuse me. The supporting battalion will immediately jump in and try to re-roll the 1. Fantastically timed support counterattack by General Weisel as the 2nd Battalion of Regiment number 32 pours into the combat. Now the French, under Charlotte, they've got 3 reserve. They got 3 supports. They're going to start trying to catch up to their. They're down 8-7 right now. They're going to try to beat that 2. Let's see what happens. 9-8. The French will stick right there as their 1st battalion comes to support them and does a phenomenal job swinging them back, the pendulum back in their favor. They're going to go to the combat phase at the end of the turn. They're going to have a lawn, and the 1st Battalion of the 32nd Regiment will become unformed for that combat. Savage hand-to-hand. All right, that is that hand-to-hand. That So all this will come back into combat at the end, which will be just truly disgusting. Okay, that's it for charges. We'll go into movement. Let's see what the Austrians and Russians and Prussians got on their magic hat. Doing a little around the world here. Austrian and Prussian cavalry moved into position to charge the bridgehead if needed, using the built-up area of the village to basically protect them, shield them from artillery fire. They're also out of range for the garrison, so they're in a good position right here. The Prussians move forward to join the rest of the remaining Prussian battalion, and they will support the Austrians. These guys are staying. Oh, actually, these guns are going to prolong. They won't be here when you get back because they are one casualty away from faltering. So these guys will move out of the way, and then this, I don't know, I might even leave the redoubt uncovered for the time being because they're just turning into cannon fodder. We'll see. I'll think about that. But the way these things attack so fast, with a good forwards roll, they could come shooting across the bridge. So I'll probably move these Austrian up and occupy the redoubt. We'll see how well that defends against artillery fire. Soult and Eisenhower still eyeballing each other. They don't like each other. Nothing. This side of the bridge, there just continues to be a log jam, except for the other two regiments of this Austrian battalion under Wesel have moved up to get ready in position to attack into whatever's left of the French. They're trying to counterattack. They're next to the Russians. And then I'll swing over here as Oulard's brigade begins to also move towards the bridge as Soult continues to advance. These Bavarians remained in here to hold the objective. They can fire skirmish fire too, if I remember. These two battalions moved up. These guys are veterans, so they changed formation and they moved. These guys just changed formation. This artillery moved up. They can't shoot this turn because of they're masked, but very shortly they'll be able to fire and start hitting boys over there, or continue to move and get even more firepower going across this bridge. So that's it. Oh, and Belair. Actually, I have to displace those. What's it called? It's Austrian Jaegers have to move back a little bit and stay out of range of those formed infantry as Belair moves on to or Montfort moves on to the bridge with Belair's old brigade of recruits as they pass through the Italians on their way to get slaughtered. Got to bring in some reinforcements for Soult at some point. I think I forgot this turn. I got so excited about getting over that bridge. The Jaegers have pulled back on the bridge in front of Montfort's attack columns closing in. These guns, this battery did prolong behind the ridge, which is now out of sight. And the 1st Battalion of the 17th Regiment, of Regiment number 17, excuse me, have moved up and have occupied the redoubt. So that's some good stuff. All right, that'll get us into skirmish firing. The Russian skirmishers are now going to fire at those French that led Charlette's brigade across and blast at those guys. Russians down to 4 bases, firing 5 shots at the French. And I forgot to fire the... actually, they do 1 casualty of the French, raising them to 2. I forgot to fire the Russians of the Moscow Grenadiers as the Swiss came in to attack them. They'll get 5 shots on them as closing fire. Russians were so shocked as the first French went charging past. They're like, why aren't they attacking us? Then they saw the Swiss and they're like, oh gosh, shoot them. And they shot at them and boom, no effect. Oh, the Bavarians are laughing at them. You'll never conquer us, baby. We'll see you in 1944. Yeah, right. Okay, so that does skirmish fire into that nightmare for the Allies. Over here on the other side, on the east side, on the bridge, the remaining Jaegers, 3 bases, 4 shots at Montfort's closing recruits. The garrison of the 1st Battalion of 4th Italian Infantry Battalion will fire 5 shots at the Jaegers on the bridge. They will get cover, so they'll get 4 shots, excuse me. They pop a casualty on those Jaegers. Now we'll go to the other side of the battlefield. Just kind of zoom out here so make it less nauseating for everybody. Probably unsuccessfully. Alright, the 3 remaining French skirmish bases of Charlotte's brigade, covering his flank, are going to fire at the Russian skirmishers with 4 shots. Actually, they were under a forwards tasking, so they're not going to shoot at anything. Alright, that was great. Just so those guys don't feel left out, the Bavarians' garrison in here are going to fire at them with 5 shots. They put 1 casualty on those gentlemen. That'll end skirmish fire. Going into artillery fire, this Austrian gun's already fired. The other Austrian battery is prolonged. This French gun prolonged, and they're kind of masked. So we'll get these 2 guns here. They're going to go ahead and fire at that Austrian line battalion. I got to measure the range right here to the right of the bridge. I did measure this. They are elevated. That's like 13 inches in front of them, so they're not masked. This is the first time these guys haven't done a weak battery, so they're kind of excited. 2 inferior battery blasts at that line battalion at long range. Or, yeah, there we go. They do 1 casualty on the 2nd Battalion, Regiment number 21. They're not too fazed by that. They're like, what? That was pathetic. All right, that'll end the very sad artillery phase. Even though the 1 gun in the Austrians did 4 casualties, but it was in the charge phase. So, but still, no one else does much. All right, so going on to volley fire. Let's see. I gotta take a moment here to think about it. These 2 Austrian line battalions over here on the west side are going to fire into this with 1 dice each. They are both able to inflict a casualty on, I think it's 1st Battalion 70th? No, yes. Raising them to 9 casualties. So they're taking a beating. That might be it for Austrian, or actually Allied, volley fire. Everything else wants to support or is in hand-to-hand combat or has already shot. The French, I think they have 1 battalion to fire volley fire with, and it's way over here against, which they might not even do. Well, we might as well. It's going to be a single die from these recruits at those Austrian Jaegers on the bridge. Alright, they raise them to 2 casualties on those skirmishers. That'll end volley fire phase. And when we go on to the combat, oh boy, which one to start with first? We'll go with the one that crossed the bridge first. Charlotte's boys with Elan against the Austrians who are unformed. It's going to be 6 dice against 4. I just got to make sure a large battalion doesn't get anything else besides just more ability to take more hits. If you hear singing in the background, my daughter is belting away, baking cupcakes upstairs, singing something. I don't have the heart to stop her. She's doing great. Alright, large battalions, as long as they're not in square, get 1 extra CD. So this suddenly becomes 5 against 6. Pretty close. Oh, the Austrians weren't that was their first hand-to-hand. Oh, they beat the Italians, I forgot. This was the first hand-to-hand for this regiment or battalion. They lose. They weren't able to inflict a single hit. They take 3. They're up to 6. There's no way I was retreating them off the table. I let them retreat back this direction because I want them to continue fighting just because, yeah, that's what we're here for, baby. We're not here to have people run off the table and not come back. We're here for battle. All right, these guys will be victorious. They'll take the ground. And boom, that's great with a +3 victory. And now we'll go on to the Swiss, who I think they have a bunch of casualties. Yeah, they have 6, so they're going to lose some dice in this hand. Plus, they're going up against a garrison, even though they're both grenadier strength. So there's not going to be a lot of love there for the Swiss. All right, Russians going in with 3 dice. Russians coming back with 5. Did I say Russians the first time? Swiss going in with 3. Russians coming back with 5. Moscow Grenadiers looking to, it's the Swiss. They wouldn't be looking to take their chocolate. Here we go, baby. If they retreat, they're going over the bridge, and they're going to unform their own boys. All right, Russians inflict 3 on the Swiss. They're up to 9 casualties. The Swiss inflict 2 on the Russian Grenadiers, so they're up to 2. This is kind of the disaster that Soult wanted. This was his choice number 2, because this is going to force a second round of combat, which, this whole thing is going to be attrition attacking against this. So now we'll get Swiss Grenadiers unformed, Moscow Grenadiers unformed, Bavarian reservists going in formed, and then the Tarnopol or Tobolsk 1st Battalion coming in to support the Moscow Grenadiers formed. So 5 dice, 5 dice. They're going to lose 2. They'll be down to 3, and they'll be at 4. So it's going to be absolutely savage. Ugh. And if you believe it, in miracles, oh my gosh, the Bavarians come through with 3 hits. The Swiss get 2. The Moscow Grenadiers got 2, and the Tobolsk infantry regiment basically got 0. They totally bricked it. They came in, they got lost in a church, maybe they started going to confession. I don't know. They had some kind of crisis, and they totally lose 5-2, lose by 3. Both battalions get pushed out and retreating. Everything's like unformed for the Swiss and the Bavarians. They're there. The Bavarians occupy the objective of Leeuw-Saint-Pierre. Now they have the Soult is in command of both, so he'll get the initiative bonus, or actually the Gneisenau will pay the initiative penalty. And holy cow, 5 casualties for the Moscow Grenadiers, and 2 for the Tobolsk 1st Battalion. They are in trouble. The whole thing's in trouble now as we get this bubble getting pushed out. Also, 2 retreating battalions in the same brigade cause a falter on Savinovich. So he's having command crisis over there. He's already lost 1 battalion. So Gneisenau's over there looking around going, what's going on? You can bet your sweet booty cheeks that the Austrian Grenadiers are going to basically come in and go Blastowitz straight into an attack against Leeuw-Saint-Pierre. We'll be seeing them probably with a CNC command, I guess, blowing his last one. But he's got to get this objective back, or he's not long for this world. As the French have just lined up troops to come over across the bridge, like almost like D-Day, like they're getting themselves a bridgehead now. Oh wow! Okay, let's see what happens. This is going to be. I think this is the kind of town that's going to be taken and untaken and taken and untaken, which you hear about in all these famous Napoleonic battles, where a village will change or a strong point will change hand like 8 times. Just with determined counterattacks. Okay, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. That's a phenomenal turn. That'll end turn 9. We'll go on to turn 10. The clock ticks 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Still plenty of daylight left as we go to turn 10. That means we got 10 all the way to turn 18 is when the lights go off. It's too dark. Let's see if we make it that long. It's pretty insane. Soult will be needing to bring in reinforcements too. I'm not sure where he's going to commit them now, but he's got to try to maintain this foothold and also push the other bridge probably. Oh wow. Okay, that's awesome. I'm like freaking out. Okay guys, see you in the next turn. right, going into turn 10, 4 p.m. Just for a quick recap, Marshal Solt has 2 CNC commands left and 2 caissons left. Still has 6 ADCs and a divisional adjutant. Field Marshal Gneisenau has 1 CNC command left, no caissons, and 6 ADC rolls. Right now, the French have 2 infantry brigades off table and 1 cavalry brigade, and the Field Marshal Gneisenau has 1 infantry brigade off table, and that's it. Okay, that was more of a reminder for me, but you know, if I'm thinking it, I'm sure you guys are like, what the heck is going on? So we're up to speed now. It's 4 o'clock. We're going to roll for ADC availability. Here we go. Right now, Marshal Solt has 5 ADCs. He does have his divisional adjutant to re-roll one of the ones. Field Marshal Gneisenau is at 3 ADCs for the Allies. All right, Solt's adjutant comes through. He has 6 ADCs now. Allies have 3. Allies won initiative last turn, just reminding myself. And the Austro-Prussian Russians will place their ADC taskings first. Field Marshal needs to save his CNC command. He's got 1 left. Got to use that probably for something to take back an objective or something. He also has a faltering brigade, this time in Savinovich, who had 2 retreating battalions in his brigade. So he's up to... So, yeah. So I'm like, so he's up to... Oh, no. So we're going to get a brigade rally with an ADC, and then the third of his ADCs will go towards a reserve tasking to bring in the Austrian Grenadier Battalion. And by Grenadier Battalion, I mean Grenadier Brigade. It's actually 2 Austrian Grenadier Battalions and 2 Hungarian infantry battalions to form one kind of elite brigade. Their final reserve. Alright, Solt's going to try to establish his bridgehead and hold what he's got to make sure he doesn't get shot back across the canal here. He's going to give Allard a forward tasking and a reroll to get his Leger across the bridge, and also he's going to give an infantry assault a glory and a reroll to Charlotte's brigade. Try to basically just attack and open up some space. These guys will move forward and attack the Austrians, and then the Swiss will get out of the way, hopefully, and then these guys will come through and shore up this facing the Russians with the forwards command. So that should be it if it all works. Also, the Allies will pay an initiative penalty for losing both parts of the built-up area for Leeuw. All right, let's see which brigades are active. We'll start with the Allies. So, Savinovich rallies with the Russian brigade. These Austrians are active. This is under Herdig. Oesel. Sorry about that. Since these guys rallied, these guys aren't retreating anymore. They go to unformed. I'll change both of those. The cavalry under Krajova goes hesitant. Also, Herdig goes hesitant over here. So, but the reserves do come on. So what we get is 3 hesitant brigades for the Allies, plus losing the objective. So that's an extra 4 dice. So I'm rolling 66, taking a lower 2 for initiative. All right, let's see who's active for Marshal Solt as we roll his brigades now. Solt is able to pull everything out, which is awesome. All right, so the French will be rolling 2d6 versus the Allied 66 for initiative. After losing initiative the last 2 turns, Marshall still turns it around, seizes the initiative back for the French, and we go into the charge phase. There's only one charge, and it's going to be, what's his name's French? Charlotte's French going into the Austrian battalion by itself. Austrians are going to be fighting these gentlemen. The Austrians have 2 casualties. They'll be firing 2 CDs closing fire, one for being an attack column and one being attacked by an attack column. 2nd Battalion 44th, who were they were a line battalion, but they took heavy casualties at Howe and got basically filtered down to a reserve unit, or diluted down to a reserve unit with some Mary Louises and everything else. Just they only have 2 casualties, but our reserve unit charging into a large line battalion from the 2nd Regiment, number 32, or sorry, the 2nd Battalion of the 32nd Regiment for the Austrians. Alright, line versus reservist doesn't get you any extra rerolls, and large units don't get extra rerolls in charge. So this will be 2 dice each, and the French will have, technically these guys will be behind them. I just don't have room to move them in there right now. The French will have 2 rerolls, and the Austrians will have none. Alright, now the Austrians are at 6, the French are at 4. The French can use their first reroll as their reinforcing battalion jumps into the combat. Decisions. Alright, the French are up 7-6. The French they are reservists compared to line and large, but they're going to get a lawn. The Austrians have become unformed, and the French have glory with their commander involved in the combat, so that'll give them a couple extra dice and probably tie it up. They're just going to stay where they are. With my luck, I'll re-roll the 3 and get a 2, and then I'll lose a benefit there. So French will have combat with a lawn. The Austrians will be combat with and be unformed. That's probably more what it looked like, as those gentlemen moved more behind them. It was just kind of tight before. I moved the French in contact with the Austrians. Okay, that'll be at the end of the turn, and we will go on to the movement phase with the French moving first. Alright, General Grobrecht didn't, I'm a bit zoomed in here, hang on. Didn't trust, no offense to the Bavarians, didn't trust a reservist unit to protect such a valuable objective. So he moves out these gentlemen. They are unformed. They shuffled forward unformed, just to kind of get out of the way. And the Swiss, other Swiss line battalion moved into the objective. They have 6 casualties. They are unformed. Now we'll do the movement bonus for Ollard's brigade as they come across the bridge. Alright, very active movement phase. We're not even into the reserves yet. Savinovich, who is hesitant, he stepped back with these 2 battalions. Austrians, who are here in attack column, went out into line. They do get the extra CD for being a large unit in line. They get more firepower, plus they're firing into attack columns, so they're going to be almost shooting like British units. They did move. Their gun did prolong a couple inches just to rotate to make room for these guys to shoot. These gentlemen were not in the charge phase and have 9 casualties. These guys did the forwards tasking, so you got a reservist or a line, Leger, I think it's reservist, maybe it's line, I can't remember. I'll see when I get over there. The tags are a mess. They came across the bridge and then wheeled to there. Got their skirmishers out front. These gentlemen are to hand, which is this, technically that. We saw the Swiss go in. They're unformed. They kind of got out of the way. They came out of the built-up area. They're unformed. Ollard's artillery had already moved last turn. Now they're in position. They can fire on the Russians over there. And very little happened over here. Technically, I forgot to move these guys. The French they're gonna hold. They're gonna wait on reinforcements. They don't have an infantry assault. There's no point going on the bridge. They've got their garrison here. They're just gonna fire at these skirmishers, and these guys are mostly hesitant. So kind of things are recalculating over here on the east side, as things on the west are going absolutely insane. And we still have reserve movement as the Austrian reinforcements will come in right here. And General Sheath there of the Austrian, oh yeah, army leads on 5th Brigade. He's got the Nyberg Grenadier Battalion, the Broder Grenadier Battalion, and then 1st and 2nd Battalions of Hungarian Regiment Number 5. Both are grenadiers. The 2 Austrians Grenadier Battalions are both veterans. And yeah, they're right there by Leeuw. Came in nice, supported the Russians to the right. Gneisenau's proud of them. I think the Bavarians are going to poop themselves. And we'll see if this will be the high water mark of the French, as they're about to get the hammer dropped on them from multiple different directions. All right, Soult, he's already on the phone for next turn calling in the reinforcements. He needs something. And that was a lot. So here is a overhead look of this side of the battlefield, as just things are going a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, down there, not so bad. Over here, wow. Yeah, French definitely will need some help. And but right now they're in the driver's seat, but that could change in a second, because they've got a huge barrage coming from these Austrians and Austrian guns into the French. Alright, so speaking of which, it's time for skirmish fire. Alright, starting here, this Bavarian garrison on the south side of the canal are going to fire 5 shots into the Austrians. Let's see what that does. Alright, they get 1 casualty inflicted on 2nd Battalion, 54th. Now the Swiss garrison, who are unformed, will fire 4 shots at those skirmishers that just came on the board. They inflict 1 casualty on those gentlemen. And I think the last of the skirmish shooting for the French will be down here with the garrison of Italians. They're formed. I took away their unformed a while ago. I forgot it. They're just going to fire at the... oh, heck, they'll fire at the Prussians. 2nd Battalion, 10th. They're right there. All right, great shooting by those gentlemen. Putting 2 casualties on that Prussian line battalion. That'll end their shooting. Going forward for the Allies, we'll start right here. The Austrian Jaegers have... they're down to 4 bases, sorry. They'll fire 5 shots at those French right there. Alright, they do 2 casualties to those French. They're up to 3 now at the sitting on the edge of the bridge. And oh, hang on. Yeah, that's it for skirmish fire for the Allies. Well, I guess you could shoot coming on in reserve capacity. Yeah, I don't see why not. They didn't do a forwards tasking, so the Austrian Grenadier Brigade has got 5 skirmishers. They're going to shoot 6 shots at the Swiss. Oh, but it'll go down to 4 inside Leeuw. All right, they don't have any effect at all. That'll be the end of skirmish shooting. We'll go on to artillery fire. These French guns, we haven't fired in a while, we'll finally get to shoot. I think this will be an inferior blast at those gentlemen with bounce through. Over here, these two French guns will both fire inferior blasts at that Austrian unit there. I think I forgot to mention both of those Russian battalions took 1 casualty each, so the closer one's up to 3 and the farther battalion is at 1. Alright, 2 inferior blasts from these guns. I think the French gunners were hoping for a few more casualties on the Austrians. Only put 1 more on them. They're up to 2 now. Going over to Austrian guns, that rear gun of course is out of action, but there will be over here on the west side, the other Austrian battery is going to be canister fire with penetration and into an attack column and all the good stuff. It did move, so that'll curtail anything on the 10 plus column. Definitely a missed opportunity there, but these guys are on the edge. They're at 11 casualties now, 1 away from dispersal. I think I'm making sure they were a line battalion. I'm like, they're already gone. Bounce through, or the penetration of the basically the ball bearings went into those guys. They're at 5. They could have done better, but at least they didn't get a fatigue casualty. All right, well, that takes us into what's it call it? A volley fire. Is it 45? Let me check the shooting. Is it 45 degrees? That would still be I mean, it's a possibility, but maybe. Let me take a look at that. All right, for volley fire, this is 45 degrees. I'm not going to break out the protractor, excuse me. They are a worn unit, but it's only a 1 dice shot because they're an attack column. So they'll fire 1 shot at the artillery. They do inflict a casualty onto those guns, giving them 1 casualty. These guys charged. They used the forwards, so they can't do anything. The Bavarians are 9 inches of the Moscow Grenadiers, so they're going to fire 1 shot at these gentlemen. That has no effect on the Russians. Sliding down to the east side of the battlefield, these French line at the edge, at the head of the bridge. Actually, all 3 of those battalions are in range of those skirmishers, so they'll all fire 1 shot at the skirmishers. Hey, I got 2 casualties. They took away a skirmish base, left 1 on it. They're down to 2 now, and the Italians took a fire discipline for rolling a 1. All right, I believe that ends volley fire for the French. For the for the Austrians, they have there are big line battalions down here. Oof. All right, so these boys, they moved. They're going to fire a volley into this unit that's got 1 point of stamina left. It's going to be a big one. The Austrians move, so they don't get the extra CD combat dice shot. Sorry, and also you don't get the CD for firing at a column unless it's attacking you. So this will just be a well-disciplined volley on the under 10 I moved column. Alright, they inflict 2 casualties onto those gentlemen. Oh, they can't take it. So they are dispersed. They're going to flee into the night, or into the late evening, afternoon, whatever it is. That'll falter Charlotte's brigade for next turn. And, alright. That's the price. And we still have 1 more Austrian line battalion to fire, but they're going to fire into a skirmish screen, which will take them down to inferior volley, I believe. Alright, they inflict another casualty on that skirmish screen, taking them up to 2. I believe that'll end volley fire. Actually, no, the Moscow Grenadiers can fire at the Bavarians. That unit next to him is just out of range, so it's just a one die. Will be 1 casualty die, or will be rolled to try to hit the Bavarians. Those Bavarians are up to 6 casualties now. They're worn. I think 4 away from imploding because they're a reservist unit, and that leaves just a hand-to-hand over here, as this French unit is a reservist unit with a lawn, with glory against a large Austrian unit who are unformed. All right, the French have a slight edge over the Austrians, but we're looking for 4, 5s, and 6s. Here we go, baby. And they're chopping a tree down outside. I got a dead tree that's huge, so if you hear chainsaws in the background, I'm not running like a motocross circuit in my yard. They're just chopping a tree down. Wow, what a hand-to-hand. The Austrians boss up. They do 4 casualties on the French. French do 3 back to them. These guys are up to 5 now. They're unformed. They sent the French retreating. They're back over there. We'll go over casualties. Just because of how tight it is, the first unit gets unformed as they go through. And then crossing over the bridge, I informed those other 2 regiments just out of logistics purposes. And the French reservist battalion settled in back here. They formed up behind these gentlemen, the 88th. They retreated, the 2nd Battalion, 44th. They have 6 casualties, and they're back on this side of the bridge. We will have a risk for General because Glory was in play. And we'll see if Charlotte is hurt in the combat. Alright, he dodges a couple sabers there and musket balls and bayonets, and he's able to get out of there without getting hurt. So that's great. And that'll end turn 10. Wow, what a turn. Going on to turn 11. This is an 18-turn game. And it's now 4:30 in the afternoon. Absolutely insane over here on this side of the bridge. Charlotte's brigade is faltering on top of everything else after the Austrians and were finally able to break down a French line battalion over on this side of the canal. And over here, it's just a great battle. Okay, we'll see you guys at 4:30, turn 11. All right, welcome to turn 11. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Things are going crazy. The French made a massive move about an hour ago. The Austrians and Prussians and Russians have slowly been counterattacking, and I guess whoever's holding Leeuw is that's in the balance. We don't know what's going to happen. It's really, I don't know. This is crazy. It's actually very entertaining. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And this kind of stagnated over here just because, but it's, I don't know. We'll see. It's pulling units over there, so it's making Marshal Soult happy. But we'll see how it goes. It can always be turned back on. It's just a matter of we've needed a lot of ADCs over here. The one big thing is Charlotte is. Or Charlet, I don't know how you want to pronounce that. French brigade commander that's out front here, he is faltering this brigade, so this turn, so we got to get him either situated or completely decimated. Something's going to happen. All right, let's do ADC availability. Right now it's 4 and 4 for ADCs, but the French do have their divisional adjutant. They're going to re-roll one of their ones. All right, the French have 5. The Prussians, Russians, and Austrians, I don't know why I didn't say allied, but it's okay. They have 4, and we got a lot of things going on. I think there's going to be both CNCs are going to use CNC commands this turn, so it's going to be nutso. The Gneisenau is going to be using a Post of Honor, I believe it is, to try to retake back Leeuw with his Grenadier Brigade. Send them in hardcore against the Swiss that are beat down in there. See if they can hold out. And then Soult is going to use a flanking attack and bring in his cavalry, his 3 squadrons or 3 regiments on behind these gentlemen here. Hello! So they can get within 6, up to, they have to stay farther than 6 inches away, and they can come in as far up as one of the advancing French brigades. So, wow. Okay, here we go. All right, Gneisenau's going to do an artillery assault, but can't afford a reroll over here on Waisel's artillery from 3rd Brigade. Try to keep hammering away on the French as they've come across the bridge. And then he's also got the C&C command for Post of Honor, which is 2. So he's out of his 4. Soult has got the rally, a brigade rally, and the reroll on Charlet. And then he's got a glory tasking on Gobrecht without a reroll, defending in there, and possibly anybody else in his battalion. Yeah, he's going to be with that. He's going to be inside of Leeuw Saint-Pierre, defending against the Austrians. Are coming in hard, and then he's got the flanking C&C command. So Gneisenau will now be out of C&C commands, out of caissons. Soult will still have 1 left because he got that double 6 on initiative. All right, let's see how the French do for their brigade available, or whatever the heck it's called. I can't remember. I'm so psyched up I can't remember what it's called. Let's see who's active or not. Bit of a mixed bag nightmare. There is General Montfort over here on the east side, goes hesitant with all the recruits. Oh, that guy is not hesitant. Sorry, let me get him out. That was from last turn. Fine. Soyer was like hesitant for life there. He was doing like 3 in a row. Of course, the cavalry comes in no issues. General Allard and the Légère and that brigade goes hesitant. Charlet, he rallies, but he stays hesitant because that's all that really happens. And then Gobrecht is good to go. So 3 hesitant brigades equals 5d6 for initiative, which is no bueno. All right, Gneisenau hits a home run. Everything's active. He'll be rolling 3d6 for initiative versus Soult's 5d6. All right, a little bit of an edge here. Let's see what happens. Holy cow, they tie at 4. Soult won initiative last turn, so he retains the initiative somehow. Oh, amazing. Okay. The French do not have a charge this turn, but we've got a Post of Honor. Did he get a reroll too? Oh, he might get a reroll with the Post of Honor, I think, with the divisional game. Yep, player may reroll one of their final 2 initiative dice. Sweet. With Post of Honor, Gneisenau steals back the initiative. Oh, Soult is mad. All right, here comes the Post of Honor attack by Austrian Grenadiers. All right, the Austrians charge in against Leeuw Saint-Pierre with the Mega Glory. Gobrecht is in there. I got to put him in there, but he's got a glory, regular glory with the Swiss troops. So this should be just an absolute blast. All right, we will get to that in the melee phase at the end of the turn. All right, we go with after charges is nothing else. We go on into movement phase. I guess technically the Austrians and Russians wouldn't be aware of the cavalry charge yet because that's in the reserve movement. So they are not going to react to that, which sucks for them, but oh well. All right, for the movement, the Russians move forward towards the Bavarians. Now remember, the Allies are moving first. This already happened. These guys reformed. These guys held their line and held still so they could get maximum firepower. These guys had reformed. I think they'd rallied or reformed, but they're just holding in reserve behind these gentlemen. French, after the Austrians moved, the Légère shook out into line. The reserves fell in behind them. This unit shook out into line. These guys went into line. These guys just reformed after getting crashed through on the bridge. Nothing happened here. The Swiss couldn't react because they were already getting charged, so they stay unformed inside. These gentlemen shook out into line to fire into these gentlemen, and there'll be lots of cotton balls coming. Over here, sorry about that massive turn, Prussians went into attack column to get away from this fire they were getting. The Austrians recalled their skirmishers just because they were down to 2, and these gentlemen took a step back just to get out of our fire. Only one of the French guns can fire over there because the other battalion or brigade is hesitant. French did not advance to counter that. Just kind of holding still and waiting for reinforcements from Marshal Soult. So, a lot of stuff going on. Okay. It's off-table movement. It's the French cavalry arrive, which will be a big surprise, unfortunately, for the Allied forces. Prior to the onset of this battle, Marshal Soult had sent his cavalry reserve under General Bruneau ranging to the west, looking for a ford or an unguarded bridge to cross the canal and then to appear later in the battle when they could get there, and they have timed it perfectly. Obviously, Field Marshal Gneisenau left a bridge unguarded, or a friendly Dutch person had allowed the French to get across his bridge. They brought 3 regiments of cavalry across, and now they've shown up on the flank of Marshal Gneisenau's forces. And you've got the 1st Regiment des Chevaliers, the 7th Regiment of Dragoons, and the 11th Regiment des Chasseurs à Cheval under General Bruneau storming in. They are behind the farthest French unit, and oh wow, not so good. That's awesome. So they're 6 inches away from everybody. That's brutal. And yeah, okay, so that'll end movement phase. We'll go on to skirmish shooting, and I'm sure there'll be some of that somewhere. Oh, I forgot to do the closing. Oh, I have to do closing fire too. I'll just fire the regiment at the Swiss in there. They can fire out, and then we'll get some more cotton balls, and we'll go crazy. Oh boy, what a battle! All right, here we go. Skirmish fire wise, there's very little. What can happen for the Allies is nothing. We'll get closing fire from the Swiss here, and we'll get the Bavarians out of the southern portion of Leeuw firing into the Austrians, and that's it. Everything else is out of range. All right, 2nd Battalion, 4th. From the Bavarians are going to fire into the Austrians across the canal. 2nd Battalion, 54th, takes a 2nd casualty. Now we'll get 4 shots from the unformed Swiss. Now we'll get the 4 shots from the Swiss firing at the closing Austrian grenadiers. A grenadier battalion under the command of Colonel Brodeur suffer 1 casualty on their way into the walls. I think that's it for skirmish shooting. We go on into volley fire, which there's going to be a significant amount of that. I'll try to go in order here and stay organized. 2nd Battalion, Regiment number 54. They did not move, so they're a large battalion. They'll get an extra CD. They're firing into the 1st Battalion, 27th. That's not, hang on. Yeah, that's them. The 1st Battalion, 27th Léger. Alright, so much for staying organized. Actually, artillery fire comes first, so we'll keep that. They do 3 casualties to that Léger battalion, but we'll do artillery. So we get Austrian artillery firing at these gentlemen. There will be penetration or bounce through with artillery assault, and the only thing good the French did was get out of attack column. So these 6-pounders are going to let fly. Here we go. Oh gosh, that was horrible. Thankfully the extra CDs from the artillery assault and the bounce through and the whatever the heck it's called, grape shot canister, excuse me, do a lot of damage to the French. But these guys do roll a double one with their main dice, so they go low on ammo because it was artillery assault. Oh, they're supposed to have 2 casualties now. They get a fatigue casualty from that as well. They have no more caissons left, so they're going to be firing down a column the rest of the game. They do pound these guys for 3, going up to 8. They bounce through, or penetration goes through and hits these guys up to 4. Whoa. Big artillery shot. Well, that's the only Austrian guns. So going over to the French, they got these 8-pounders over here with 2nd Brigade. They're going to blast into the Russians right there with it'll be an inferior blast just because it's at longer range. They'll also get bounced through into the other Russian unit. Both Russian battalions take a casualty. These gentlemen are up to 4. These gentlemen are up to 2. All right, we've got one gun down here on the French, the right side of Soult's line, that was attached to the Italian brigade that can fire out to long range. I believe it is this brigade right here. No, it's this one here, sorry. So they're going to blast away at long range against that Austrian attack column over there. They do 2 casualties and force a discipline check on an Austrian unit. They will be needing a 7 to pass that. Austrians go unformed. Those cannonballs rip through their ranks. That'll end the artillery phase, and we will continue on with volley fire. We've already fired 1 Austrian unit down at that end of the battlefield. 2nd Austrian Line Battalion, they're going to go ahead and shoot straight ahead. There's basically 3 battalions they're going to hit here. They're going to split it between these 3. Their primary target, I have no idea. We'll just see what happens when they roll. And they'll get 1 extra CD for being a large unit that didn't move. They do 4+. I'm going to randomize which one of these 3 battalions takes the extra casualty and the discipline check. So the lucky winner is the 44th, 1st Battalion. They're going to take 2 and go up to 6. These guys take 1, go to 9. This battalion will take 1 and go to 4. All right, discipline check. These guys are going to check like, they're already reservists. They're going to be checking like enfant perdu. With 6 casualties, they're worn. Alright, those gentlemen go unformed. Sorry about your luck. Alright, moving over to this Austrian unit attack column. They had reformed in the movement phase. They will fire a single combat dice at this unit with 9. They go up to 10 casualties. Sorry about your luck. Alright, over here we'll get 3 attack columns. The Bavarians, the Tobolsk, and the Moscow Grenadiers all firing at the Bavarians. 3 shots. The Bavarians go to 8 casualties. Getting wore out here. At 10 they implode. Also the Hungarians picked up a fire discipline for rolling a 1. I think that'll end Allied volley fire. Nothing over there to shoot. Everything kind of pulled back out of range. Alright, French starting to shoot back. We'll start off with the 1st Battalion, 27th Léger, firing into those gentlemen with the extra CD because they are disciplined and they're veterans, baby. They hammer them with 4 casualties. They're going to force a discipline check, and then we're going to get a destiny roll. Austrians are warned now. Looking for an 8 to pass the discipline check. Austrians go unformed. Oh, we could do the destiny roll real quick for those French. Alright, those gentlemen recover a casualty, and they go down to 3. These guys have to shoot straight ahead because they're part of a hesitant brigade. That kind of clips the gun. So they're going to split their... Oh, I forgot General Charlet's little tag. Get back there, buddy, by yourself. They're going to fire and clip the gun and clip these guys here. We're going to split the casualties. This will be a inferior blast because they have 10 casualties. Most of the fire is covering these guys, so they go up to 6 casualties and they're going to be worn. Alright, next up the Bavarians. They're going to fire an inferior blast. It's going to hit both of these gentlemen here, both of these Russian units. Moscow Grenadiers are the main unit. They go up to 6 casualties. They are worn too. That should end volley fire across the battlefield. Yeah, it should. And I think we'll just do the hand-to-hand here with the Post of Honor. And they got the 2 dice glory for the Austrian veteran Grenadier Battalion versus the Swiss, who are unformed. They do have 6 casualties too, and they have glory. Gneisenau leads them to glory. The Austrians go in, they kick out the Swiss, who retreat. Sheath there goes in with his boys. Gobretz is forced. Right now he's got to take a risk to general role because glory was in play, and they got their butts handed to them. The Swiss losers, they somehow didn't get destroyed. They retreat back here and have 11 casualties and reform behind the south part of Leeuw. The French will no longer get their initiative bonus, but they're not going to pay a penalty because they're still holding one part of the town. So, okay, let's see if Gobretz is killed just like Belair was. Alright, he survives. That's great. These turns have been insane. It's been a heck of a good battle. Alright, so half of Leeuw has been retaken by the Allies. We've got a cavalry attack coming in next turn that no one can react to. We're going to have a bunch of saves like Enfants Perdus because they're going to get attacked from behind. I don't even know what to do. That's insane. But they're not out of it yet. Okay, that's awesome. What a great battle. Now we're going to see if Soult decides to push on the right. And he still has 1 CNC command and 2 reserve infantry brigades off table still, one of which has 2 old guard battalions in it. Talk about a hammer. All right, and we are going into turn 12. It's 5 p.m. It's getting a little bit dusky out there. All right, here we go, baby. Alright, it's turn 12, 5 p.m. Time for ADC availability for both sides. Let's do this. Alright, the French end up with 5 ADCs. The Prussians end up with 4. Remember, well, I'm trying to remind myself. Field Marshal Gneisenau won initiative last turn, in case that comes up. And let's go ahead and place ADCs for the Allies. General Sheether. He's in charge of the Austrian Grenadier Brigade. He gets an infantry assault. He's going to try to attack into these gentlemen here. And then for the other 3 ADCs for the Austrians and Germans and Prussians, Field Marshal Gneisenau gives General Krajova a redeploy tasking and a forwards tasking, trying to bring the cavalry back over here before it's too late. For the French and her allies, the Marshal Soult's going to use his last CNC tasking for the reserves. He's going to bring in his 2 final brigades. Probably send his guard that way and his last infantry reserve that direction. And then with his final 3 ADCs, he's going to give a brigade reroll and an artillery assault to 1st Brigade. So their 8-pounders can rain down on the Austrians over there. Okay, that's all 5 ADCs. There was no 1s to re-roll. Boom. Let's see who's active and who's not. Field Marshal Gneisenau has the honors. He'll go first. Outstanding job by the Allies. All their forces are active. All their orders are going off. All right, let's see if the French can do as well. For Marshal Soult, only Charlotte up there facing off against the world. He's the only one who's hesitant. Don't blame him. So the French lost their bonus, or the Allies lost their penalty for not controlling the built-up area of Los Saint-Pierre. So the Allies will be rolling 2d6 for initiative. The French will be rolling 3. And that is clutched by Field Marshal Gneisenau as he rolls a double 6. The French lost with a 9, so that's amazing. But double 6s, boom. The Allies now have 1 extra CNC command for the rest of the battle. French are out, so that's a turn of events there. Okay, and the Allies will have the initiative. For declared charges, we'll have 2. We'll have the Austrian Grenadiers going in against these gentlemen here with 10 casualties. Have fun. And the French cavalry is going to move forward and engage these guys from the rear. But we'll do the Austrians. First. All right, the Austrians go in with 1 Bavarian support. They will be closing fire from the French. They have 10 casualties, so it'll be an inferior volley, but they will get an extra CD for firing into an attacking attack column or assault column. All right, so Austrians will come in. They'll be rolling 2d6. French will be rolling they'll be rolling 3d6 because they have all those casualties, taking the lowest 2. Austrians get a reroll for support. They get a reroll for them being veteran and them being line. And the French will get 1 reroll from those gentlemen behind them. And that'll do it. So let's do some dice rolling. Austrians hit a home run with 10. French are sitting at 7, a 5 and a 2. They're going to use their reroll, try to beat that 2. Austrians are going to get combat with Elan. That's a great reinforcement move by the unit behind them. The French will melee at the end of the turn, unformed. And that's it. Now this is going to be horrible. So the Dragoons are going to lead the charge. They're going to go right through these skirmishers. I think they probably get annihilated. I'll look on that roll too. This battalion getting attacked in the rear. I think they roll 3d6 on their discipline check. And I think they get a -2 for being charged by cavalry in the rear. Being charged by cavalry 1 in line and then 2 charged in the rear. Ugh. So they're going to be saving as the enfant perdu with a 3d6 roll. And if they fail that, it's like an automatic victory, which is going to probably slice and dice the cavalry. Who knows? Who else knows? All right, I'll find out in a minute. So the way I read this, these guys come flying in. They hit them. They failed their discipline check. These guys got pulled in because they have to support because they're right here in supporting range. They get dispersed. The skirmishers get dispersed. The charge on result will hit them in the rear because they can go 45 degrees. So they'll be gone. They'll be gone. The skirmishers will be gone. And the cavalry will be right here. Oh, wow. Okay. And the unit will... the brigade will falter because of all that fun stuff. All right, those units are dispersed. The brigade is faltered. These gentlemen close with the dragoons, close with Elan into the rear of 2nd Battalion, 54th, who are unformed with 6 casualties. And that'll be figured out at the end of the firing phase. Well, that was an absolutely insane charge phase. I got 2 combats pending. We'll go on into the movement phase now. All right, redeploy and forwards roll for the Allied cavalry trying to come to the rescue. Alright, very complicated movement phase. I think my brain hurts. I just messed up my... There we go. Russian units, the 2 battalions there went into square just to avoid any hazard. Also, this Austrian line battalion did, as well as this Austrian line battalion did. This Leger battalion moved forward and changed formations. They're veteran, they can do that. These gentlemen moved up to support them. These gentlemen moved up to support them. These guys are part of Oulard's brigade that's not hesitant. They're not Charlettes or Charlet. The Russians changed formation, went into line, and just kind of, that's where they were next to each other in attack column. These guys are charging, and no one really moved over here. They held stationary. French aren't going to commit yet because they've got their guns ready, and they have a whole nother gun battery coming in, so that could get pretty savage over there. Alright, so now we do reserve movement. And the French reserves come on. Oh yes, 2 Old Guard Grenadier battalions with 3 skirmish bases under the command of General Mallet, who is a bold brigadier commander, coming in on the west side to reinforce the assault on Saint-Lô-Pierre, or Leeuw-Saint-Pierre. And then over here, the oldie but goodie General Peugeot, who's been like in every single battle I've had, he comes in leading his brigade, 3rd Brigade, in reserve with 2 veteran line battalions and 2 line battalions. So he's good, and he has an artillery battery with him as well. So they're going to come in and fall in with those other 2 batteries, and they have like basically a main artillery assault now against the Austrians holding the bridge. Alright, for skirmish fire, nothing over here on the east side of the battlefield. On the west, we'll have the 2 garrisons doing their shooting. Austrian veterans are going to fire 5 shots out at this French line battalion that moved up next to Leeuw-Saint-Pierre. Alright, for skirmish fire, nothing over here on the east side of the battlefield. On the west, we'll have the 2 garrisons doing their shooting. Austrian veterans are going to fire 5 shots out at this French line battalion that moved up next to Leeuw-Saint-Pierre. They put 2 casualties onto the 2nd Battalion, 88th, as they move along to keep contact with their Leger battalion ahead of them. Alright, and over here we'll get the, I think it's Bavarians, firing skirmish fire at the, they'll fire at the Russian square. Guys are up to 5 casualty. General Savinovich is in that square looking out. That's the Sabrinsk infantry battalion, and they're about to get hit by artillery fire. I didn't even see this meeting of the minds outside of the northern portion of Leeuw-Saint-Pierre as General Allard and General Gobretch are talking to each other. Not too far away is General Charlotte too. They can have a little staff meeting there. Sweet. Alright, that will end skirmish fire. The Austrians have no guns left. 1 gun has been prolonged out of range to make sure the brigade didn't falter, and the other one just got ridden down by cavalry, so they're done. Over here we have a long-range shot from 2nd Brigade into that Russian square across the canal. Those gentlemen get hit for 2 more casualties. They're up to 7 now. Now we go down to the Grand Battery. 3 batteries firing at the same Austrian line battalion, and 1 will be a move, 1 will be a regular fire at long range, and the move will be at long range too, and then the other one will be a long range artillery assault. So boom, it's going to mark all 3 guns and do them all at once, just to be efficient, my friend. A barrage inflicts 4 casualties onto that large Austrian line battalion. They're up to 8 now. Oh, could have been worse, but for just reaching out and touching someone, that's not bad. Okay, that'll end artillery phase. We'll go on into volley fire. There's nothing down here as the French have stayed out of range. I'm just keeping those 2 brigades pinned, even though they have 3 brigades over here themselves. But French do have a few more forces. And now they got reinforcements coming up too. And we'll go on to volley fire over here. Give me a minute. Alright, these Austrians are in hand-to-hand, so they can't shoot. These guys are in square, but this unit of French is in hand-to-hand, so they can't shoot. So we go over to the Simbrinsk unit, who's only got 2 casualties, firing into the Bavarians with 8. This should be a healthy volley from these gentlemen. Oh, what a volley. Thankfully for the Bavarians, the Russians actually moved. So they do 3 casualties to them. They're up to 11. They've got to make a discipline check. They were already reservists, so he's going to be an enfant perdu save. This is going to be rough. Those Bavarians retreat across the bridge. They've got 11 casualties. They're way back here with their sister battalion, plus the other Swiss. Everything of Gobrecht's unit is retreated to the south side of the canal, except for his last unit of unformed Swiss to the right of Leeuw. Pierre. Alright, that's the end of Allied volley fire. Let's see if the French have anything. I guess technically the Swiss could fire a volley, but they're going to be unformed. And they're going to be worn, so it'll be a single shot. They're just going to go ahead and hold their fire. That's kind of sad. These other units are in hand-to-hand, so there's no point shooting over here. And that'll end the volley fire phase, and we'll go into hand-to-hand combat. We'll start with the Austrian units in hand-to-hand with the lawn against the unformed and worn 2nd Battalion 70th Line Regiment. The Austrians are veteran. Austrians are going to be throwing 8 dice versus the French 3, so this could be savage. Austrians do 3 casualties on the French. The French do 2 on the Austrians. Austrians are up to 5. The Austrians win. They're unformed. The French are dispersed. They only had like 2 casualties to give anyway. So they are annihilated. So 2nd Battalion 70th joins 1st Battalion 70th, and I just got dispersed category. General Charlette's brigade is faltering once again. That ends the Austrian portion of a hand-to-hand. We now go on to the heavy dragoons attacking into the rear of the with a lawn against the 2nd Battalion 54th. Because the Austrians are hitting the rear, they're going to get 2 CDs for the first round. With the French dragoons being heavy cavalry, hitting infantry in line with, and they have a lawn as well. They're going to get 8. So it's going to be 8 versus 2. Good luck, Austrians! Alright, what a nightmare. Alright, the dragoons inflict 5 casualties and take 2. The Austrians go up to 11. They are a large unit, but since they lost in versus cavalry, they are dispersed. The brigade's already faltered. So that's 2 of the 4 battalions in the brigade are dispersed. They're close from one more loss of a battalion. The whole brigade is gone. Alright, and that ends... What a turn. Going to turn 13 at 17:30. I don't even know what to do. That's freaking awesome. We got French big boys heading for their day with destiny, and across the bridge is just getting nuts. Alright guys, hang in there. Alright, it's turn 13, which usually is the turn of destiny in most of my battles. Oh, I love it. Alright, here we go. ADC availability. French are in full force. Let's see if the Allies can hold out till nightfall. It kind of feels like that kind of action. Alright, hang on. All right, Solt gets 6 ADCs. Gneisenau and his troops get 4. All right, let's delegate these bad boys. And I think Gneisenau won last turn, did he? Because he got his free extra CNC by getting a double 6. Okay, nice. All right, for the Allies, they still have to take their limited ADC resources and put them down here. Savinovich has escaped the square and galloped across the battlefield. He's going to lead the Tobolsks and the Moscow Grenadiers in for an assault against what's left of this Swiss battalion in a charge. Infantry assault and a reroll. And then the last 2 ADCs for Field Marshal Gneisenau are going to be on Vasel. Or Basel? I think it's W. Someone told me that the W's are pronounced differently with the Austrian stuff, so it's Vasel. They're going to do a divisional rally or divisional morale order with a reroll to try to keep this 3rd Brigade on the table who are faltering. Down by Loth, Marshal Solt is going to continue the artillery pounding of the Austrians on the far side of the river before General Peugeot's troops get to the bridge. He is going to order artillery assault on 1st Brigade's artillery and 3rd Brigade's artillery to pound those gentlemen. Plus, they're going to get blasted from 4th Brigade's guns, and that just sucks. And then at some point, French are going to start forcing their way across the bridge now that everything is going absolutely nuts over here on the west side. And they also, for their last 2 ADCs, they are doing a divisional morale and a reroll on Charlotte's brigade. It's holding out in there on the bridgehead, the toehold, waiting for the Imperial Guard to get there and make the attack. All right, we'll start with the Austrians because they won initiative last turn and see if who's active for them. All right, General Vasel, he rallies, so he goes hesitant, and also General Schiether of the Grenadier Brigade, they also go hesitant. But everything else is active for the Allies, which could have been a lot worse, so that's good. All right, let's go on to the French. All right, for the French, Gobrecht and his Swiss and Bavarian brigade goes hesitant. And thankfully, Charlotte rallies. Gobrecht might need that hesitant marker. On the opposite side of that is the falter, as the Russians will be closing in on the unformed Swiss here. The Swiss are at 10 casualties, so this could be falter time when these guys implode. Unless they pull it out, but we'll see. They have no supports, and the Russians are looking strong right here. Everything else for the French is looking active, and the guns will be firing like a big dog. Let's go on. Let's do initiative. Both sides can be rolling 4d6 and taking the lowest 2. Great rolling for both, but Solt wins with a 9. Good job, French. Seize initiative. Going into charges, the French do not have any, but oh yeah, Savinovich does as he launches his infantry into the Swiss. A Swiss battalion is going to fire an inferior volley as the Russians come charging in to chop them up. The Swiss have a total panic attack as the Russians come closing in on them. Oh. So the Swiss will be rolling 3d6, taking the lowest 2, and the Russians rolling 2d6, taking the lowest 2. Well, that's obvious. Duh. Russians have a reroll. The Swiss do not. The Swiss get a 7. The Russians are at an 8. They do have a 6 and a 2. They're going to use their reroll, try to beat the 2. Let's hope they don't blow this. And we'll deal with that at the end of the turn. All right, so let us get into movement phase. Marshal Solt's boys will be moving first, and then followed by Gneisenau's guys. The Moscow Grenadiers reinforce the combat, but have really a minimal effect. The Russians will combat with the lawn. Maybe they don't, because they're not a linear army. So yeah. So I think it'll just be straight up. Again, then the Swiss they're already unformed. So we're just going to get yeah, since they're not in attack column, 99% sure is what Scott would tell me. So they're just going to combat normally, and the Swiss will be combat unformed. Towards these squares, those gentlemen, the regular infantry step back to the second line as the the Leger moved up to take the brunt of the shooting. That's what they're going to be good at. French also from Aulard's brigade put their skirmishers up against the northern part of Leeuw to start firing at this, having an impact on the garrison in there. A lot of the French just getting out of the way, clearing the way for the old guard under General Mallet, who's moving forward here. The Swiss are basically, they're going to call it a day. And the Bavarians, that one battalion is trapped out there with Gobrecht, but they've just been designated themselves to garrison duty over here because they're so beat up. They're not going to be the same ever again. Austrians really couldn't do much because the cavalry threat, so they're staying in. If they go in the line next turn, they get charged down. So, and it's just a repeat of what the disaster that happened to them earlier. So they stayed in square. They don't really have a choice. Austrian and Prussian cavalry closing in to support, try to buy these guys some time. What do you know about the Russians attacking the Swiss? Over here, General Peugeot bringing forward his 4 battalions. The Italians kind of getting out of the way up here. Montfort is probably going to lead his charge across the bridge next turn to start softening up the Austrians on the far side, but allowing one more barrage from these guns into the Austrians on the far side. They really don't have a choice but to stand there as well. It's not looking good. They still have the redoubt. They got everything else, but it's going to be hard to hold all that as the French are bringing up new reinforcements, and the Allies just don't have the artillery anymore. Their artillery is, got one casualty away from breaking. So that'll end the movement phase. There's no more reinforcements to come in. I guess we can take an overhead look. We haven't done that in a little while. There's the garrison. There's that gun that's in the background. There's Leeuw. French deploying up, heading towards the bridge. Dusk is starting to settle in, so they're moving to secure both bridges across this canal, and then they can. They're hoping to consolidate and then launch their attack against Brussels tomorrow. That'll basically make the English freak out, and the Prince of Orange is at the French recruiting station, getting ready to sign his letter to commit to come back to fight under Napoleon. All right. And there's this side, which is just a nightmare. Woo! And that cavalry just chilling, waiting for the go code. All right, so we're going to do skirmish shooting. There is a little bit of skirmish shooting and some garrison shooting, so we'll get some of that, and then we'll go on into artillery. For the French, we'll start with the Bavarians. Their skirmishers will fire at this Russian square with 5 shots. You can just imagine them being packed in here, firing out the windows, use their bayonets to dig holes through the roof. They're firing through everything they got across the canal with the Russians stuck in square there. All right, these skirmish screen from Aulard's Leger brigade. 4 bases, firing into the garrison. There would be 5 shots, going down to 3 shots. All right, no effect over there. Over here at Leeuw, these Italians are too far away from the Austrians, who step back to the far side of the bridge. We will have the garrison of the northern half of Leeuw fire at the skirmishers there with 5 shots. Oh boy, they inflict one more casualty on those gentlemen. They already had two on one base, so they lose a skirmish screen there. That ends the skirmish shooting phase. Going on to artillery, and I owe an apology to all the French gunners out there. These guys are literally 23 inches away from them, so I've been firing them at long range, but it should have been effective. I'm going to give them a free artillery assault just to kind of pay back for. There has been 2 rounds of shooting, so. Here comes an artillery assault from these gentlemen at effective range. Ends up doing 4 casualties to those Russians who are already at 8. And they get a discipline check, but they are basically destroyed. I forgot, there's a unit behind them, so we'll get some bounce through too. So these guys are, they're taken out. And we get one more bounce through shot, plus it will falter Savinovich. No bounce through into the Azov regiment, as that first battery for the French fires. The Allies have no guns left on the table that are in a state to shoot. Oh, sadness. Alright, they might have to pull those guns up just so they're going to get eviscerated. We'll get the triple threat over here. As with 2 artillery assaults plus an extra long-range battery blast against that Austrian battalion in line, or an attack column over there on the other side of the bridge. Got the batteries marked up. Time to break out the dice. Holy cow, Death Star blast to 2nd Battalion of the 21st Regiment. They take 8 more casualties as they are eviscerated. Let me make sure, a large battalion I think could take 15. I just want to double check before I blow them off the map, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be gone, and that's going to falter the brigade of Hardig. Yeah, large battalions have a fatigue threshold of 15. That takes 16 casualties, as they are just torn to pieces by artillery barrage. Oh, wow. That is terrible. Hardig falters. He's looking sad. Okay. Holy cow. Artillery ruling the battlefield. Here come the French. They're going to pour across the battlefield now, or across the bridge. That ends the artillery phase with a bang. Oh, it's volley fire time. Guns are cutting loose. Bam. All right, 2nd Battalion, 5th Léger with 3 casualties. They're going to fire straight ahead into this square of the Azov Battalion. See how they do. All right, the target's the square, so they get an extra CD, even though they're a Grenadier Battalion. Blasting away. Another double 6 down there, and I forgot there was a double 6 for one of these artillery guns, too. Oh, cow. We'll do 2 destiny rolls here real fast before we do anything else. For the artillery, this 1st Battalion of the 21st is going to take 2 CDs of damage from their destiny rolls. So they take 2 casualties. So that barrage and that one barrage from those 3 batteries did 11 casualties. So if you use Scott's casualty calculator, how much was that? So to a blink of an eye, that was 550 killed, wounded, run away from that nightmare that just happened. Wow, that's an insane barrage. The other destiny roll over here for the Léger causes the colonel of the battalion to be killed, which would cause the brigade to falter, but they've already faltered, so you can't double falter. So no real effect on that one. But still, that blast does 6 casualties, raising them to 8, forcing a discipline check, and they have to save as recruits. So good luck on this. That was just too much for them as they retreat 18 inches. Cavalry salivating, seeing them running away here. Oh, they're out. They're going to be hosed. Okay, no shooting for them. They run away. Now we've got this Léger battalion firing another square. The good luck to these guys. 2nd Battalion, Regiment number 32. They take 3 casualties. They're up to 9. They have to take a discipline check now. General Waisel trying to keep it together. They go unformed, and the only thing to shoot for the Austrians is, well, they got this square and they've got this attack column for 1 dice each, firing at the Leger. They raise them to 3 casualties, and last thing for this turn, this horrible turn, brutal, is going to be the hand-to-hand between the Russians and the Swiss. Russians are going to be throwing 5 dice. The Swiss going to be rolling 3. The Swiss are 2 casualties away from dispersing. Could be hideous. The Swiss, like they're defending the Bourbon royal family in France, hold out to the last man. They do actually would win the combat if they hadn't been destroyed in it. They do 3 casualties to the Russians. Russians put 2 on them, dispersing the Swiss guards, who are 1st Battalion, 21st. The Russians are going to be unformed after the victory, which is kind of oh well, they won. Gobretsch has retreated across the bridge and has faltered, and he's back there. And that will end the turn. Very bloody turn. I'm sure there was well over 1,000 casualties in that half an hour. My dogs are not happy about it. They are going buck wild upstairs. Probably the mailman's trying to deliver something. We're going into turn 14. It's 6 o'clock at night. And you got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If we can make it that far, and then it'll be too late to keep on fighting for the day. Remember, Gneisenau has nothing left, but he does have a CNC command left, which I'm not sure we can do on something. And then Soult is no CNCs, still has 2 caissons left. And all reserves have been committed to the Battle of Leeuw. All right, see you in a minute. Alright, turn 14. We've got a couple of brigades faltering on the table. We got Gobretsch with the Swiss and Bavarians. Savinovich with the Russians. Maybe it's just those 2. Yep. Oh no, there's one more down here. I forgot. The artillery smacked the heck out of 2nd Battalion, Regiment number 21. And Herdig. So we got 2 faltering for the Allies and 1 for the French. Alright, well, let's start off the 6 p.m. hour with ADC availability. Both sides rolling 6 dice. Right now, both sides have 5 ADCs. The Soult will use his divisional adjutant to reroll his 1. Alright, Soult has 6 ADCs. Gneisenau has 5. Let's place ADCs. The French won initiative last turn, so they'll be placing first. Alright, for the French, Soult is going to give a divisional morale and a reroll to Gobretsch to try to keep him from falling apart completely. Needs to keep him on the battlefield, have that ADC available. And then we're sending Mont across the bridge as an appetizer to try to soften up the Prussians and Austrians over there. Gneisenau is going to put divisional rerolls, or divisional morales and rerolls on his 2 faltering brigades for 4, and an ADC reroll on the cavalry. They got to get across the battlefield and try to stop the French cavalry. Doing the French first. Here we go. For the French, Soyer with the Italians goes hesitant again. He's struggling. He's very comfortable in Leeuw, or Loth, excuse me. His brigade almost combat ineffective. He's shutting it down. Gobretch rallies to back the hesitant. He's basically going to shut it down too. Charlotte's brigades. He's lost 2. He's 1 away from getting crushed. He just has 2 battalions left on the table here after the beating they took. So yeah, he goes hesitant again. So he's having some issues too. So Allard will try to get his 44th across the bridge ahead of the Imperial Guard, and basically just get out of the way. All right. So that's 3 hesitant brigades for Soult. So he's going to be rolling 5d6. Let's see how the Allies do. The Allies have a bit of an existential crisis as... oh gosh. Sheathair goes hesitant again. Wazel is active. What's left of him. Svanovich rallies and goes hesitant. Cavalry passes. They're good. They'll be able to move forward 18. Over here, von Jagow goes hesitant. And then Herdig, unfortunately, gets a sauve-qui-paix. So, oh! So I don't even know how much. So that's 1 hesitant, 2 hesitant, 3 hesitant, 4, 66 for the Russians, and now we got to do the sauve-qui-paix. Unfortunately for Herdig and Field Marshal Gneisenau, these guys are 1 casualty away from dispersal, so they're gone. These guys are about 10 inches off the edge of the table, so they're gone. That will be 3 of the 4 line battalions for Herdig's brigade off of dispersed. So the last one will also disperse, and General Herdig will flee the battlefield, taking his ADC with him. Holy cow, what a nightmare. Alright, so yeah, this side just completely went collapso right in time for Mont to come storming across the bridge. I take that back. They'll lose. Because these guys will fall back 18. I got to measure that real quick. I think they'll be on the edge of the battlefield. So they will not flee, because I forgot the guys in the redoubt are also with Herdig. Oh, that's ugly. All right, let me get my ruler out. These units would retire together. I kind of did some measuring and thinking about it. These guys will go right down the road. Units are going to head towards the road. So if they come this direction, like 16 inches right here, they're going to also disperse. So that brigade will disperse. I thought at first it wouldn't when I resaw these gentlemen. But yeah, it's horrible. Plus they all take 4 CDs of casualties. Oh man. And the skirmish line also disperses, the artillery disperses, everything goes. Oh, von Jagow freaking out. He's already lost 2 battalions of earlier. Now he's down to 2 battalions left of his 4. His Austrian allies just took off running. The cavalry abandoned him to go try to save the right flank. He's sending up smoke signals to his bro he went to the military academy with, Gneisenau. Come on, help me out, man. All right. And here comes a bunch of French recruits are going to be fired up, coming across the bridge here on the charge phase. We'll do initiative first, and lots of dice. Gneisenau wins with a 6. Okay. Charge phase. Allies have no charges this turn. The French have Montfort have taken over for the pretty heavily wounded his commander. Oh, what was his name? Oh, I got it saved here. Hang on a second. Comes the French. Marie-Louise is coming across the bridge in force to hit the confused and bewildered Prussians of von Jagow. All right, these guys are Prussians are going to get probably 2 rerolls because they're line versus recruits. They're going to get closing fire. And then the French are fully supported with 3 rerolls. Prussians are in attack column, so 1 die shooting at the lead unit as they come on in. Alright, they do 1 casualty to the 3rd Battalion 26 as they come charging towards them. They're up to 4 now. Alright, let's calculate some stuff. Well, the +1 is only if you're, I believe it's for if you're a veteran or elite versus recruits. Formed, veteran, grenadier versus lower grade. Oh, I'm sure elite you get another reroll too. So no reroll for the Prussians. Just going to get 1 reroll, and the French will have 3. Alright, right now the Prussians are at 4 with 2 2s. The French are at 6 with a 4 and a 2. Prussians re-roll one of their 2s. Oh, Prussians totally bewildered. They're going to stay at 4. Here come the French re-rolling their 2. Now it's 7 versus 4. French are going to go again. Mont is pumped up. He's going to send another battalion in and try to kick that 3 up. They have no impact. Montfort sending in his last battalion. Oh boy, it's getting stressful. Oh wow, the last battalion comes in and drills it. Hits a home run. They win by 6. Oh, it's a victory. The Prussians retreat 18 inches, which takes them off the board. Van Jagow, he's done. His unit breaks too. The entire Allied left has collapsed. Alright, Gneisenau sees behind him his entire left collapsing. He sees French streaming across the bridge, moving into a position to basically cut him off from retreating to Brussels. And also, if you think, this is to the east. So they're literally cutting him off from Berlin as well. So that's a no-no. Gneisenau, very upset with Wellington. He had sent letters when he had engaged, and the Italians had crossed the bridge the first time for support. But I did do a poll on YouTube and on the General d'Armée Facebook page, and it was a majority of the community, a very high percentage, said Wellington should support Blücher at Mont Saint-Jean or Mont Saint-Jean, whatever you want to say. And nobody came to Gneisenau's aid, so he was left to do this on his own, and he will remain bitter towards Marshal Wellington, the Duke of Wellington. I'm getting all the ranks wrong. So what's going to happen, basically, we'll do a lot of that in the closing video, but he'll use his cavalry to screen. His troops will file up this road following the retreating people. And, yeah, he'll extricate himself. Marshal Soult will move across and take control of both bridges, occupy the canal, consolidate, and move on Brussels. Oh, so at 1830, Gneisenau is streaming back towards Brussels, probably going to get right on his horse and go right to the east and off one of the roads in Brussels and head back towards Berlin, depending on if he gets a message from Blücher from Mont Saint-Jean. But it's all over at the Battle of Leeuw. Marshal Soult using independent command against Field Marshal Gneisenau, victorious, and moving to lay siege to Brussels unless he gets word that Napoleon and Davout have been defeated. Alright, please go to Scott's channel. He's released part 1 of his battle. I'll put a link in that. And yeah, that'll be awesome. I'll be back with a wrap up on mine for casualties and stuff, and then Scott will, at the end of his battle, will do a conclusion with everything in it for the entire campaign, and we'll make the decision if it's over or not. I think we're leaning towards doing some 1809 thing, I think Scott said. So we'll be talking about that next week. But you guys are fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And man, love this hobby. Thanks, guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.